So what I'm going to focus in this session is more on the external opportunities or co-curricular opportunities that schools, any schools, can explore while during lockdown, when schools are closed, when everybody is at home. So there's a new norm. I call it, just because there's a new norm, that means we can find more alternatives and we can find more opportunities. So I'm trying to go as quick as possible. So this is my school, Keningau Vocational College. It's located in Keningau. It's surrounded by hills. I think for Sabahans, I'm sure you're very familiar with Keningau. And before the pandemic, this is what we did. As a head of research and innovation, I always took my students to compete or to take part in events, conferences, innovation contests in Malaysia and outside Malaysia. So that's before the pandemic, if you guys still remember how it was. But then, the pandemic struck, COVID-19 struck, and we can't go anywhere. We have to stay at home. Schools were closed. There's no social gathering. There's no physical event. So basically, we had nothing. And I think most of the traits that define schools are all the co-curricular activities that students can take part, where it can actually help them grow personally and professionally. But then we find, just because we cannot go anywhere, we are just at home, it doesn't mean that we cannot do anything. We do what we do best. We adapt. In fact, with the ongoing pandemic, with the current lockdown, there's actually so much to explore, so much to conquer. So whenever whenever we feel like we don't really have, we are not capable of doing anything, there are many opportunities that we can explore. So what I'm going to list here is some of the opportunities that school teachers and students can take part during this time, this uncertain, difficult time. Online conferences, grant application, localized and remote community project, virtual hackathon, and webinar. So these are the things that we have done at my school, and I've done it along with some of my colleagues and from other schools. So for vocational college, our students, they have projects, so they always develop their projects. So what we did, we decided to go for online conferences. Now, in the past, we used to go for conferences, but then they are all physical conferences. So we felt like, there must be online conferences. So that's where we started. We started with the students, and we pick one student in each month to present at conferences. And these conferences, they were online, they were virtual. The students were presenting their work online. So as you can see here on the newspapers, we always seek publicity. We put our students on newspapers. So they have been presenting conferences, and these conferences were based abroad, but they were doing it at homes. So that is something that we can actually explore. And it's one of our missions is to promote online conferences or conferences among school students, not just teachers. And then just last month, we had the largest delegation of teachers and students. There were 8 teachers, there were 17 students. We presented 10 projects at a C-STEP conference in Indonesia. Now, this conference was a free of charge conference. So usually for conferences, you have to pay, but sometimes there are opportunities that are free of charge. They are you don't have to pay anything. So you definitely have to seize that kind of opportunities. So we decided to do this. Previously we just had one student, but you know what? Let's do it as a team, as a huge group, as a large delegation. So we went with 10 projects, and then we went with about 24. It's about 35 teachers and students presenting at conferences. And just a few days ago, one of our students, Nezatul, she became the first Malaysian panelist to speak at Youth STEM Summit. Now, so these are the things that we all have to look at. During this pandemic, most of the activities across the world, they are being done virtually. They are all online. So that means, in the past, we can't attend those activities because they are, if you go for these activities, you definitely have to travel, and it's too expensive. There's just so much work. But with what's happening now, there are more opportunities that we are able to access. So one of our students, she applied for this, and what happened? She submitted her video, and they picked 5 persons from all over the world to speak at this session. And our student, she became the first Malaysian, and she was the only Malaysian to speak at that event. So that's a huge achievement too. And then with these kind of activities, our students were able to interact with people from different countries and really widen their network. And what I like about it is because, since I'm an English language teacher, so they definitely had to speak English in this kind of event. And the thing about that's online conferences, but one of the things that schools could do was to apply for grants. So this is one of the concept of practice that I would like to apply. Now, the thing about online grant application, it is not actually an online activity, but it's an activities. It is an activity that is done remotely. So you submit your application through emails and online applications, online forms. So early this year, we won grant about 40. And no, it says actually it's 48,000 ringgit. From Wisely Seed for the Future, and then a group of our students just recently they won a grant from the Awesome Foundation based on their projects, and we also received applied grant and received grant from some of the associations that offer research. So these are the things that you can do. Just because you are staying at home, it doesn't mean that you can't proceed with your work. You can still do your work and then whatever that you are passionate about, and then you can apply for grant. One of the things that I would like to highlight is that most of the time for schools we spend so much money on activities, right? But with grant application, you are not spending money, but you are getting money to carry out your projects. And yes, we are under lockdown. We were under lockdown. We are still under lockdown for the second phase. But still we are able to carry out projects at homes or in a more localized context, which I'm going to talk about in the third session. And we can also do when the lockdown relaxed and when the lockdown was slowly lifted, we were able to do activities, but with a small number of people. So we used to do, my students and I, we used to do activities where we actually visited schools in the past in a large number, and then we conducted activities. But we couldn't do that early this year. We still can't do it now. So what we did was that we did a localized and remote community projects. That means all of our students, they were still doing their projects, but they were doing it at their homes with a small number of children. So that's one of the things that we can do. We can still do these events, but they are more in localized context. And with this effort, they were awarded with a Learning Award and Global Social Leaders for the community project. So one of those things that you can do, you can always attend a virtual event, which they did. They went for a virtual event, but they did it at their homes. So we also went for virtual hackathon. And then hackathon is a form of activity, it's a type of activity that takes few days to be completed. You first have to undergo training, and then you finally, pitch your ideas. So with Hackathon, we discovered there's an opportunity for Hackathon by UNESCO online. So it started on 13th of October until 23rd of October. So my team was accepted. The application was accepted, and we went with the training. So all of the trainers, they were from other countries. They're from the US, Europe, but we were able to do our training, obviously online, virtually. And then in the end of the day, there were 24 finalists, and our team won. Our team was one of the winners, community innovation category, and of course webinars. So I started I received a grant to conduct continuing professional development programs, but because we couldn't do face-to-face workshops, so we had to move to online. So these were some of the amazing teachers that I've been working with, and we had a webinar, which is an online course. So each month we had one teacher speaking at an online conference. So this is the kind of continuing professional development, like what we are doing now, like that teachers can do and can attend, obviously through online platforms. And that's all. That's all from me. I'm going to stop sharing right now. Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.